Hello and thanks for joining us here on Reporters, the show that brings you the very best of France 24 reporting from around the world. Now, Osama Bin Laden may be dead, but some analysts are warning that the late al-Qaeda leader may inspire more would-be terrorists dead than he ever did alive. From North Africa to Southeast Asia, governments are trying to stamp out the threat of Islamic terrorism, and on the whole, it's a job well done. In Indonesia and the Philippines, at least, al-Qaeda subgroups have been severely weakened. But it doesn't pay to be complacent, and the threat of extremist attacks still lingers thousands of miles from where Bin Laden met his end. France 24's Cyril Payen spent some time in the murky underworld of Asian jihadism. Here's his report.
The Himalayan foothills of Abbottabad in northern Pakistan. It's here in May 2011 that a page was turned in the long and bloody history of Islamic extremism. The most wanted man in the world was killed by American special forces. Osama bin Laden, head of al-Qaeda, is no more.
It has had a very profound negative impact on the psyche. They were humiliated in a way. For the first statement of President Obama was that he fought back. So if he fought back, and why not believe him, the first statement, first reaction, if he fought back, then he's a hero.
This retired general knows what he is talking about. The former spy chief is suspected to be closely involved with regional Islamist networks.
If he was killed now, as they say, in front of his wives and children, when he was unarmed, and they did not take him a prisoner, then he will arouse a wave of sympathy.
Thousands of kilometers away from Pakistan, 100 Indonesian radicals immediately volunteered to carry out revenge suicide attacks when they heard the news of bin Laden's death.
How could they dare to kill Osama? Americans believe they have the right to kill. Our mission is to take revenge against the Americans.
The only terrorists are the Americans, not Osama bin Laden. You just have to see what they do in Afghanistan, in Iraq or in Palestine to understand that.
Solo in central Indonesia is the birthplace of Islamic radicalism. These young fanatics are the new recruits of a globalized holy war.
It started with Afghanistan. It started with Indonesians going to Afghanistan in 1985. And from 1985 to 1994, they had a military academy for Southeast Asians. That camp produced about 250 Indonesian trained mujahideen who came back to Indonesia. Almost all of them eventually came back to Indonesia. And they became the leaders of the jihadi movement here. So that was the first wave of contacts between South Asia and Southeast Asia.
Then there were the first suicide attacks, the Asian version of jihad. In October 2002, over 200 people were killed in a blast, mostly foreign tourists. Several other attacks followed. For the first time, the world had seen the face of Southeast Asian extremists, and they all claimed allegiance to Osama bin Laden. The Asian network linked to al-Qaeda calls itself Jamaah Islamiyah, an autonomous franchise dreamt up by an aging Indonesian cleric. His goal was to bring all Southeast Asian Muslims together in a vast caliphate.
Most of the key figures of today's radical group are the children, or grandchildren, or minimum. They still have their family ties with those who have been executed in the past.
In the post-September 11th era, such a threat is always taken very seriously. The security forces launched their counterattack.
This has become the responsibility of all the Indonesian government, working also side by side with the counterpart from other countries, working side by side, because we know that to fight against terrorism, we cannot fight alone. We have to fight together.
This is the response to international Islamist groups in Indonesia. These men from Detachment 88 are trained and supported by Australian and American experts. They have launched multiple attacks against radical groups. Hundreds have been arrested, dozens have been killed.
We are not doing military operation, we are not doing intelligent operation, but what we were doing to counter terrorism in Indonesia using law enforcement power.
Security forces in the region have been accused of being heavy-handed, but they can claim some successes. And there's no doubt that the first generation of Islamist warriors is being gradually disassembled. Several hundreds are now in jail all around the country. We decide to go and meet 3 of them. They're locked in Semarang prison in central Java Island. We film with a hidden camera. Almost 30 years ago, these men went to fight on the Afghan front alongside Bin Laden against the Soviets. They moved in the same circles as the Bali bombing perpetrators.
You know, the other day some FBI agents came to interrogate me. I took a knife with me when I went to meet them, in case I had to stab them. But in the end, everything went okay.
My dream has not changed. We must create a big caliphate in Asia, a land for us Muslims, where we would live strictly under the Islamic laws, and we would live in peace, all together, all Muslims, all united to live our faith freely.
I really have to leave this jail. I have to, because the community needs me. The world out there is sick.
For what?
The society is in chaos. It needs to be guided in the right way. Society needs a doctor. A doctor like me.
The jail's chief is there. He was born in Bali. He was directly affected by the bombing. A conversation starts between the warden and the extremists, the guard and the executioner.
I'm sorry for your parents. Did you ever think about them, what they go through because of you, how you hurt them?
What would you have done in my place? It's not about choice. We don't have the same fate, that's all. When you're a terrorist, you never know what's going to happen. All you do is in the name of God.
Can't you see you're wading into murky territory?
No, being a mujahideen is the way to light. You really can't understand.
What I do guess is that you are totally mad. I can't do anything for you.
We've had a lot of examples of ordinary criminals being recruited in prison, partly because the jihadis, once they're in prison, have very high status. These people were willing to take on a superpower. So the prestige that they have in jail is very high. And also they can make arguments to the criminals that if you want to repent of your sins, one way to find favor with Allah is to join the jihad.
Have Indonesian jails become schools of radical Islamism? Can we expect a new generation of fighters to emerge from these cells? In the world's biggest Muslim country, over 600 extremists have been arrested. 200 of them have been freed or are about to be freed. We are now in the heart of Java Island to attend a secret meeting. The man we came to meet provided some help to the Bali bombers. He has been in jail for the past 9 years. He was released 3 days ago.
As a good Muslim, of course, I think about the victims. But too much injustice is being done against Islam. We have to fight back. I have understood that bombing places and killing people was not the solution, because many people die. But again, those who attack us have to be fought. As soon as Islam is under threat, being targeted, jihad becomes an obligation. One day we will maybe have peace, but unfortunately, that time has not come yet.
We are now in Nur Huda's house. He is a confidant of the radicals. and friends with their families.
So I think we have to treat everyone equally as human beings, you know. We have to humanize others. So this is what we are doing here.
Noor Huda's work is focused on de-radicalization. For the extremist families, it's also a chance to have a holiday here.
You went to the beach, right? You go ke laut, kan?
These two young girls know that their father's name is Mubarak. What they don't know yet is that he is in jail for life because he's an Islamist.
I live my life according to my belief. I don't care about what people think about me. You have to think and act the same. To move forward, you have no choice. For example, take off this burqa. You should take it off.
It's my choice. People have to understand and accept my choice. That's how it is.
Anyway, you know that I'll always be there to help you and the girls. If you've got any problem, you let me know. And send me your daughters. It'll be easier for you.
Thank you so much.
But listen to me, you must face the community, the people. You can't go on this way. You can't let yourself be expelled from the community.
Do you hope you will see him again free one day?
Yes, I'd like to see him.
You think the Indonesian government will forgive him one day?
I don't know exactly, but I always hope.
Children of the actor of the terrorist, in fact, they are also the victim of stigmatization by the community. Community cannot really accept them. Indeed, their father did extremely wrong, and I think all as a civilized individual, we have to condemn that. But how about the children? Can we lump them together? No, they have their own future. Therefore, my initiative, I really want to stop the cycle of vendetta, you know. Most of the individuals who participate in violent activities in Indonesia in the last 11 years, they have a history of revenge from their fathers.
Noor Huda knows these Islamists very well. He could even have been one of them, because he grew up in the same radical circles. He knows too that for them after jail, the temptation to go back to the world of extremism is very high. One of his projects was to open a restaurant. There he tries to convert jihadists to capitalism. Here is Yusuf. He has spent as many years fighting as he has in jail.
Before, my life was holy war. I've got no regrets. It was a good cause. Now, here, my new life is in this restaurant. I like it. And my coming back into society wasn't that difficult. I was so afraid when I'd been released from jail.
Let's go to the mosque.
Yusuf joined the jihad after he watched a TV report about the Bosnian War. He wanted to defend his faith. He was only 16.
He still has strong affection to the group, but I can tell you for sure, the clearest memory of his time by naming his own daughter with Armalet.
Really?
His passion for gun, you know. Many people come up with the definition of de-radicalization. This is unrealistic. No way for me to de-radicalize him. No way. The memory is so strong, his commitment is so strong, but we can do is actually convert his lethal skill in the battle with the war to business things, you know, because business is like a war.
Yusuf, the entrepreneur, hasn't forgotten the war, even with a de-radicalization program, even with his new life. In order to maintain contacts and memories, he logs on to social network sites.
I have one of the friend now in the jail in Manila for 10 years until now. I can this Facebook, what about you, what do you think about your wife, where is your activity now, etc.
What about jihad? You talk about jihad?
About jihad, maybe just information. In my heart is I want go to Pakistan, I want go to Afghanistan because it's bigger than MILF, and then I have much of experience for the war in the what is the place of jihad.
But why you don't go?
I think that is the road to the Afghanistan is not easy. That is, I know that because I must have prepare for this the bigger of the program of jihad.
Al-Qaeda's Asian branch relies very much on closed networks and family clans. There's the rank and file, but there are also the leaders. For the first time, one of them, the brother of the Bali bombing mastermind, agrees to talk.
All right, we're going to take a short break now. Do stay tuned for the international headlines coming up, and then we'll continue with an exclusive interview with the brother of one of the terrorists responsible for the Bali bombings in 2002. All of that coming up as part of this special report on Al-Qaeda in Asia.